Chapter 1, State Requirements of Educational Facilities, Section 1.1, Educational Facilities. State Requirements of Educational Facilities, SREF, is applicable to all public educational facilities plans pre-kindergarten through pre-kindergarten through grade 12, including conversions of charter schools, all vocational educational schools, all vocational technical centers, adult education at Florida Colleges, University, Florida School, deaf and blind, where reference to the auxiliary relocatables, factory-built structures, reconstructible facilities, modular buildings, manufactured buildings, lease purchases, new construction, remodeling, renovation, improvement, site development projects. It shall be responsible of each school board, each Florida College board, or trustees of each university board trustee to ensure that all facilities constructed from any found source met standards as set forth by the state requirement of educational facilities are applicable. One authority, the Office of Educational Facilities, um, OEF, shall review, update and revise the state requirements of educational facilities and make recommendations and modifications to the State Board of Education (SBE). The state requirements of educational facilities shall not be changed, amended, interpreted by other individual agencies or entities. Capital outlay funds, financial programs of capital outlay funds, including public education capital outlay (PICO) or capital outlay debit services (CODS) funds are administered through the state requirements educational facilities. Scope of the state requirements and education facilities requirements. The state requirements of educational facilities establishes requirements for public education facilities under the K-12 K through 20 Education Code, Chapter 1013, Florida State Statutes in particular. 4 rules. Public education facilities shall comply with the following rules if applicable. FDOT AASHETO or Rules 14-15002 Federal Administrative Codes effective June 2012, following manuals incorporated therein to incorporated by the reference 6A2001 Florida Administrative Codes. For the on-site transportation improvements, including roads, sidewalks, bridges, drainage structures, districts shall comply with the Federal Department of Transportation Manual of Uniform Minimum Standards of Design, Construction, Maintenance of Street Highways, and May 2011 edition of the American Association of State Highway Transportation Officers ASHTO, load and resistant factor design of bridges design specification 5th edition 2010, modified the Department Office of Transportation Office of Maintenance of Bridge Load Rating, Department of Transportation Drainage Manual as required by the structure type. OSHA, the Chapter 17, Occupational Safety Health Administrative Department of Labor 29 CFR Parts 2, 1910 and 1926, July 1st, 2014 edition, which is incorporated in the reference of 6A's 20010 Florida Administrative Codes District Employees. Exceptions of facility projects and university and administrated under the Board of Governor Regulations, Chapter 14, www.flog.edu about regulations at PHP Chapter 14 and status. The facilities require projects of the FSDB are administered under the section 1013 at 38 D FS except for the specifically required state requirement educational facilities required in state requirements educational facilities. See 6A20010 Florida Administrative Code. See section 381006, 1013-02, 1013-12, 1013-31, 1013-37, 1013-40, 1013-45 Florida State statutes. Chapter 1, State Requirements of Educational Facilities. Section 1.2, State Requirements of Educational Facilities. Definition of the state requirement for the educational facilities of the following shall have the main meaning indicated here and shall be applicable to all public education facilities plans, including pre-K through the grade 12 conversion charter schools, vocational educational school, the vocational technical school, adult education, Florida College auxiliary plants, relocatable factory-built structures, reconstructible facilities, modular buildings, manufactured buildings, lease projects, new construction, remodeling, renovation, improvements, regardless of fund sources, university of and by the FSDB was referenced. Administrator, the superintendent of the school district, the president of the Florida College, or the president of the university, approved to label, endorse, sanctioned, accredited, and certified based on the standard national recognized code of organization. Asbestos. Asbestos form varieties of silicate, chrysolite, or serpentine. The aphambolite groups of crocodilite or ribicite, an anthophythal amosite coming to a grutiny, tremolentite, ansolite. Asbestos-containing material. Any material protected that contains more than 1% asbestos determined using the method of Appendix A, Part E, the Title 40 Code of Regulations, Part 176. Frailable. Asbestos material, when dry, can be crumbled, pulverized, reduced to the powder, hand pressure. This definition, including the previously non-friable material that becomes damaged to the extent that when dry, it can become crumbled, pulverized, reduced to a powder by hand pressure. Non-friable. Asbestos material, when the dry, cannot be crumbled, pulverized, or reduced into powder by the hand pressure. 4. Assembly. Assembly of occupancies included but not limited to the buildings, portion of the buildings used for gatherings of more than 50 people or 50 or more people. Assembly occupations include adjacent related spaces, the main meeting seating areas such as stages, dressing rooms, workshops, lobbies, restrooms, locker rooms, and storerooms. The basement, the portion of the building between the floor and ceiling, is below material partial below grade. 6. A board of district school board, Florida College Board of Trustees of the board does not include the State Board of Education and the Board of Governors, Boards of Trustees of the University, Board of Trustees for the University, the Board of Trustees for Florida School for the Deaf and Blind, or for the Foundation. Each school board, Florida College, and the trustees seem to be owner of the facility property within its respective jurisdiction. The state university or state-owned facilities of the board governors has oversight responsibility. Boiler, a fuel-fired heating producing appliance which in acting capacity of more than 60,000 BTUs per hour intended to supply hot water to the system. Boilers or inspection boilers shall comply with the Boiler Safety Act of 1987. Board of Governors, State University System, formerly the Board of Regents of the State University System. 9. A building, a structure enclosed by the external walls, covered by the roof, designed housing a state shelter enclosure of the support of human animals, property of any kind, any building separated from the other structures of 60 linear feet per requirements of table of 602 Florida Building Code by a 4-hour fire wall with protected openings considered to be separate building. A permanent. A structure built with a fixed foundation with a permanently attached walls, roof, and floor that cannot be moved and translated either as a unit or in sections. B. Relocatable is known as a portable. A building portion of the building may be prefabricated, disseminated, reassembled, frequently single unit of the construction consisting of walls, floor, and immovable as the unit either is wheels by the trucks, mobile, demount, dividable, modular, portable buildings as typical relocatable units. Modular is known as a factory built, a structure that forms a complete building when combined with other modular structural components, demountable roof or wall or sections. A modular building can also be relocatable building. Can reconstructable, a structure that has been designed so that it can be assembled, disassembled, and reassembled again. 10. A building permit, an official documentation, certificate, authorization, or instruction issued by the building official in accordance with Section 105 of the Building Code. That's official document, certification, authorization, construction issued by a building official in accordance with Section 105 of the Building Code. Capacity and carrying space. An instruction space with the student stations assigned by any instruction space with the student stations assigned. CCNA, Consultant Competitive Negotiation Act. See Section 287.055. CFM, cubic feet per minute. Change order. Written order of the contract signed by the superintendent, president, or architect issued by the execution of the contract, authorizing the changing of work and the adjustment of the contract sum of the contract originally defined in the contract documents. The COBI, capital outlay bond issuance, is State Board of Education bond issuance sold by the state on behalf of the boards, pledging the motor vehicle license tags, revenues of debt services, which is part of the CODS, which is capital outlay debt service, capital outlay debt service for the school district, community college district, capital outlay debit service trust fund, which are funds derived from sources arrived in Section 9, the Article 12, the Constitute, the state of Florida as amended. This capital outlay debt service flow through. The remainder of the capital outlay debit service maintain money allocated to the board for approved projects for after debit service and administrative costs are withheld. A commissioner, the Commissioner of Education, State of Florida, completion date, the date of board accepts the project in the whole part. The 20 construction documentations. These plans, specific plans, construction documents. Those plan specifications pertaining to particular construction, including all amendments, addendums, bidding and bidding documents, field orders, changes to orders that are part of contractual documents, contingous. For the purpose of Section 1013-51 Florida State Statute, for the term contingous shall mean those public lands, public rights, in actual contact with the boundary with actual contact with a boundary of the educational facility site. Conversion of charter school. A conversion of charter school is an existing public school that has been converted to a charter school in accordance with Section 1002.333b Florida State Statutes. Department of the Business Professional Regulation Insignia, formerly known as the DCA. A label requirement factory-built school buildings in accordance with the section of 55, 53, 40, 15 of the Florida State Statute, July 1st, 2001. Any newly constructed facility built with the school buildings, manufactured buildings used by the classroom not bearing such label as of the Department of Business Professional Regulation insignia or the DCA insignia shall be not used as classrooms in accordance with section 1013-20 of the Florida State Statute. Local winnable fee failed to meet the standards of. Hello? Hello? Alright, I believe we're at completion date. The date of the board accepted by the project in a whole and part construction documents. Those plan specifications pertaining to a particular construction project, including amendments, agendas, bidding and bid documents, filed orders, changes to orders that are part of the contractual documents. Contingency. For the purpose of Section 1013-51 Florida State Law, the term contingency shall mean those public lands or public right-of-ways in actual contact with the boundary of the educational facility. Conversion charter school. Conversion charter school is existing in a public school that has been converted to a charter status in accordance with the Section 1002.333b for the state statutes. Department of Business Professional Regulation insignia, or formerly known as the DCA, a label requirement for the factory-built school buildings in accordance with the Section 55.3.415.13 Florida State Statute, July 1st, 2001. All newly constructed factory-built schools, building manufacturers used as classrooms not bearing such as the label as the DPR, DCA insignia shall not be used in a classroom in accordance with Section 1013-21 Florida State Statute. Be relocatable so that the fail to meet the standard may not be used as a classroom, shall not be reported to provide satisfactory student stations of the Florida Inventory of Schoolhouses, FISH. The DCF, Florida Department of Children and Families Department, the Florida Department of Education. 26. Design Professional. Design Professional is a professional engineer, registered land survey, architect, landscape architect as defined in Section 471, 472, and 481 Florida State Statutes. The DMS, the Department of Management Services, the DOH, the Department of Health, Educational Plant Survey, a systematic study of educational and ancillary plans of educational agency conducted with the last every 5 years to evaluate existing facilities, plan for the future facilities to meet the proposed program needs. The EFC, Educational Financial Information, is the sign of electronic database that manages facility information through a single source service. An educational facility information system provides an integrated database of facility functions for a school district, for a college, Florida College of State level management of facilities information. The educational facility information system exists for the purpose of managing reporting data related to the facility inventory, student enrollments in school, educational plant surveys, 5-year district facility work plans, tracking facility projects, funding of the capital programs for the state and local resources. Egress means a means of egress is defined in Florida Building Code. The Florida Fire Prevention Code compromises vertical, horizontal ways of travel shall include intervention room space, doorways, hallways, corridors, balconies, ramps, stairs, enclosures, lobbies, exterior courtyards, and enclosed courtyards. Emergency natural disasters such as firestorms or other providential cases resulting in imminent danger to life or safety of overcrowding schools or overcrowding students. 33. Emergency lighting. Lighting designated to provide required illumination automatically in the event of any failure of generating light. Employee. An employee authorized by the board means a personnel who receives the compensation from under a supervision board that regularly detects the FICIA withholding tax, provides the workers' compensation also prescribed by law. Equipment. Any equipment item that is a material unit that meets the following conditions. Shape. It remains in the original shape and appearance and with use. Non-expendable. It is more feasible to repair than replace with an entire new unit with damaged, worn, and capital. It represents an investment money to make the feasible and advisable capitalize the item identity. It does not identify through incorporations into a different, more complex unit substance. Facility. Ancillary facility. A building, other facility necessary to provide district support services such as energy plant, bus, garage, warehouse, maintenance building, and administrative building. Ancillary plant. The buildings and site improvements necessary to provide district vehicle maintenance, storage, building maintenance activities, administrative functions necessary to provide support services to an educational program. And auxiliary facility, the support spaces that are not designed for student occupation stations located at educational facility plans such as libraries, administrative offices, and other criteria. Educational facility, the building's equipment security, the building's equipment and structures, especially educational use of the areas of the building installed and established to serve primarily educational purpose, secondary social recreational purpose of the community. Educational plant, educational facility site improvements necessary to accommodate students, facility, administrative staff, activities, educational program. Existing facility owned, rented, leased for purposes of establishing annual safety and establishing annual safety inspections. And an existing building is defined as having occupied for one or more years. Leasing facility not owned but contracted for the use. Permanent facility, a facility designed for the fixed location. Relocatable portable facility, a building is designed to being moved to a new location. Okay, so you have your permanent facility designed to fix a location, and a leased facility not owned but contract for use. A modular facility, a structure that is combined with other modules or demountable roof or wall section forms of completing a building. A modular facility can be relocatable. Factory-built facility, a closed structure building assembly for the system of sub-assemblies that can include structural, electrical, plumbing, heating, ventilation, other services, manufactured, installation, erection with out other specified components as finished building as part of the finished building. A feasible study, the examination analysis information related to the project educational facility determination with responsible financial particular Florida Energy Efficient Code of the Building Construction Chapter 13 Florida Building Code. Fish, the Florida Inventory of Schoolhouse, the number of systems used at the Department of aerosol buildings, rooms, and public educational facilities, including references, processes, procedures identified in the Fisher's user's manual. This is not applicable for the Florida College Inventory System, but the University Inventory System. Florida Building Code, FBC, the building code for use for new construction, remodeling, renovation of all public educational facility. Florida College means a Florida college system institution, which includes public community college, public college, state college, public junior college. Florida Fire Prevention Code, FFPC, the fire code used by the new construction, remodeling, renovation, fire space inspection, public education facility, state fire marshal rules in Chapter 6A, 69A, 58. Florida Administrative Code, which specifies the fire safety newly existing fire safety of new and existing schools, also applying exemptions to the NFPA 101 Section 14.225 horizontal exits and Section 14.227 existing passageways should not be permitted with the NFPA codes expected in the state requirements educational fund. State requirements of educational facilities. The FSDB, the Florida School of Deaf and Blind, germicide deterioration, a broad spectrum of cleaning products containing quarantine ammonia and phenolphthalic-based cleaner is effective in the presence of 5 certain 5% of the blood serum water hardness of 400 ppm and higher against the following microorganisms: bacteria, virus, fungi, including E. coli, Pseudomonas aeruginosus, Salmonella choleraeus, Staphylococcus aerosol, Streptococcus fiesiolus, Trichophytrin mentagrophian. It's clean products used to destroy the invisible, inactive, blood-borne pathogens such as microbacteria tuberculosis. Human HIV-1 and hepatitis B and C viruses required for the EPA registered sterilizer tuberculosis antimicrobial products. The EPA registered products effect against the human bloodborne pathogen shall be compliant with the OSHA bloodborne pathogen exposure standards and 29 Code Federal Regulations 1910 and point 1030. The presence of responsible anticipated presence of blood or other potential infectious materials. 45 historical resources, a prehistorical historical site, building, object, or other real personnel property that is historical, architectural, or archaeological. These properties resources may include, but not limited to, moments, memorials, inhabitants, ceremonial sites, amendments, settlements, sunken and abandoned ships, engineering works, treasure troves, artifacts, others intrinsic archaeological value, any part of the relating to the history, government, culture of the state. Impacting service account availability. A fee and users charge assessment imposed on municipal, other governmental agencies, private privilege connection to a system for which is not immediate and specific requirements for a capital improvement, expansion, installation, utility source, necessitated by connections, assessment imposed by the board owns the property for installation of a continuous utility line or an intangible service that does not have clearly established costs. Impervious material. Any smooth, non-absorbent, durable material, including waterproof, grout, and permanently resistant to corrosion or effects of water. Normal cleaning material, natural, artificial chemicals generally associated with toilet rooms, shower rooms, food preparation areas, such as products, seamless, catalyzed epoxy quartz, flooring, specialized catalyzed epoxy coatings, ceramic tile, and quartz tile are accepted as impervious materials. Inspection. On-site of the review of the inspection. An on-site review of the facility of the site required by the Chapter 1013 for state statutes and state requirements of educational facilities. Integrated pest management IPM. An effective environmental sensitive approach to the pest management investment. Integrated pest management balances risk between pest and application pesticide to achieve long-term pest suppression. The integrated pest management programs use strategies to reduce sources of food, water, and shelter for the best buildings, ground, information on life cycle pests, and interaction with the environment. Combination with the available pest control methods is used to manage pest damage by the most economic means of the least possible hazard to the people and property of the environment. Instructional space. A student-occupied space with or without assigned capacity used primarily by students to create or foster learning experiences. Interior finish. The materials permanently affixed to the interior building structures. The LCCA cost analysis, life cycle cost analysis, long-range planning, a system method, whether the educational information needs the careful analyze to provide the facilities that meet the goals, objectives of educational agencies. Low energy use of the energy features devices supplement to minimize consumption of fossil fuels. Maintenance and repair, the upkeeping of the educational ancillary plants, including not limited to the roof and the roofing replacement, short complete replacement membrane structures, repainting interior exterior surfaces, resurfacing floors, repairing the replacement of the gloss hardware, repairing of replacement electrical plumbing fixtures, repairing of the furniture and equipment, replacement of system equipment for the equivalent items being current code requirements, provided that the economic does not place a greater demand on the utilities, increases structural requirements, does not adversely function life safety systems. Repair to the replacement of the traffic control devices and signages, the repair of resurfacing parking lots and roadways and walkways. The term does not include new construction, remodeling, renovation, except for as noted above. Mandatory correction required due to the code statute or rule of deficiency found during the review of the construction documents other than documents submitted for the review. 57. Need determination. Identification types and need determination. The identification of types of numbers of educational facilities necessary to accommodate the educational program, student population, facility, administrative staff, auxiliary services of educational agencies. New construction. Any construction of the building or a unit of the building in which the entire work is new. Any addition connected to the existing building is considered new construction. For accounting of the purpose of the construction project is considered new for the official year in which the project was completed after the first year thereof. The NFPA, the National Fire Protection Agency, National Fire Protection Association, an occupancy certificate. The documentation issued by the authority of the jurisdiction indicates the inspection and approval completion of the construction project pursuant to the requirements of Florida law. 61. Occupational load. The life safety maximum number of the persons allowed in the occupied building in the room at one time. Occupied building. At any time the building is open to the public, any other building is occupied 6 or more persons. The building is designed prior to the October 18th, 1994, 10 or more persons. Occupied space. Any area designed to be used by 6 or more persons prior to the October 18th, 1994, or 10 or more persons. Non-student occupied space. Any area primarily for the use of persons other than students. Student occupied place. Any area primarily for the use of 6 or more students prior to the October 18th, 1994, 10 or more students. Offices. The Office of Educational Facilities, OEF, Florida Department of Education. The open plan building. Any building that does not have a corridor defined in the permanent walls. Any building, open plan building that does not have corridors defined in permanent walls is entirely open and divided portions that can be easily rearranged. Open plan instructional space, an arrangement of 2 or more classes areas with no permanent portions of wall separations. Each school board of the Florida College trustee is deemed to be the owner of facility with the respective jurisdiction. Partition wall, walls, partitions. The passive design elements is design features to minimize the heat loss, use of the building equipment. The PICO, the Public Educational Capital Outlay Debit Service Trust Fund, which receives funds derived from the source authorized in Section 9A2, Article 12, Constitution, State of Florida, as amended. Pre-qualification of contractors. Programs should be used to pre-qualify contractors. The competence of the qualification, the required construction experience component, supervisory personnel, sufficient finances, the special abilities necessary to perform the type of work specified. Be a delinquent contractor. Status applied to the contractor when one or more of the following occurs with a justifiable cause. Failure to provide substantial compliance with the plan's specifications. Failure to provide supervision or coordination of the subcontractors. Failure to meet the time schedule of any stage of the completion of the project. Failure to pay the subcontractor in accordance with the previously approved requisition of payment. 5. Failure to provide the quality of workmanship considered standard of local trades involved. Failure to comply with the warranty requirements of a contract. C. Independent certified public accountant. A certified public accountant who has had, during the period of the report, financial interest of the business affiliation with an application for the qualification of the definition should not include a firm individual who performs as a company's audit on a recurring basis. A past performance. The contractor's past performance and quality workmanship, supervision, coordinated contractor's compliance with the plan specifications, payments to the subcontractor, meeting the time schedule, satisfactory compliance with all warranties, prime contractor, the individual firm, and the corporation awarded for the contract for the work specified. Projects of equality complexity. A list of completed award projects include project names, values, short descriptions of projects that require same types of extent skills in the various trade. Projects of equal value. A list of completed award projects including projects names, values, short description of the project is approximately the same cost in dollars. Responsible. That's projects of equal value. Response experience. The satisfactory completion of the previous work of equivalent value and complexity. Project. Project. A project may be one or more of the following: architectural engineering project, a project in which the architect engineer translate specific educational requirements into drawings or specifications. Construction project, the process in which the contractor uses plans, specifications, assumes materials of erect building and structure to physically modify the real property. The project priority listing. A list of board plan survey recommended construction projects approved by the Commissioner on the behalf of the State Board of Education for expenditures of the capital outlay and debt service funding. The prototype of the project, architectural engineering intended the reuse of another site of the will update the new site compliance with the Florida Building Code, of the Florida Fire Prevention Code, any laws relating to the fire safety, health and sanitation, casualty safety requirements for physically handicapped that are infected, but at the time that the construction contract is awarded. 72 Project Manual. The volume assembled for work which may be included the bidding requirements, sample forms, conditions of the contract, technical specifications, remodeling, the change of existing facilities, rearrangement of the space, change of the use of only the portion of the building remodeled must be brought to the compliance with the building and life safety codes, usually remodeling adverse impacts of the existing life safety systems existing in the building. Renovation. The renovation of the upgrading existing facility, installing, replacing materials, equipment, using the occupancy of the space remaining the same. Only a portion of the building being renovated must be brought into compliance with the building's life safety codes unless the renovation adversely impacts the existing life safety systems of building. Repair and maintenance. See maintenance and repairs, sanitation, the promotion of the healthy and healthful conditions of elimination of dirt and agents of the infection of diseases. Satisfactory educational facility. A facility that has recommended and continued by an educational plan survey that has been classified as satisfactory state inventory of the educational facilities fish from pre-K through grade 12 and a vocational or Florida college facilities inventory. The SPE, the State Board of Education, and the separate atmosphere, the individual volumes of air of the building, the divided, the smoke-proof barriers, the limited commutations of the air smoke of the fumes during the fire shall must. The terms indicate that the compliance is required. Site, the land occupied to be occupied by the educational facilities program. Site development. The work that must be performed on a unimproved site to make it usable for intended purpose. Site improvement. The work must be performed on the existing site to improve it. Utilization, correct health and safety divisions, meet special programs need provided additional services areas. Site improvement, incidental construction. The work that must be performed on site in conjunction with the construction of an educational auxiliary and auxiliary facility. Small schools. A school of an existing single campus that operates as a school within a school. As defined in section 1003.02, a smart school, a school that is soundly made, accountable, reasonable, and thrifty, pursuant to section 1013.41 Florida State statutes. Specifications: the portion of construction documentation consistent with the requirements of the material, labors, and equipment construction system standards and performance of related services. Square footage for existence net gross calculations pre-K through grade 12, including conversion charter schools and vocational centers. Net square footage, the NSF, enclosed interior floor area of the pre-K through the grade 12, including conversion charter school, vocational facility measured by the inside of the surface of all enclosing walls of the boundary and spaces. Gross square footage, GSF, the pre-K through grade 12, including conversion charter schools or vocational facilities multiplied by 1.06 combined total of net square footage plus the floor of the area full square footage of covered with the walkways by loading and unloading similar areas of having a roof but no walls. Square footage for existent net gross quality calculations of post-secondary facilities assigned square footage ASF. The Florida College enclosed in the interior floor area is assigned to the available and assigned to the occupant specifies use measured in the inside the faces of the wall and boundaries and spaces excluding exterior interior wall thickness, interior exterior circulation, toilet rooms, lecture rooms, havoc equipment, and areas of structural areas. Non-assigned square footage, also non-assignable square footage. In Florida, the college facility, the floor area of the building space is not available for the assignment to an occupant for specific use. In Florida, the college facility, the floor area, the building space is not available for assignment to an occupant for the specific use. The necessary for the general operation of the building includes custodial, circulation, mechanical, and toilet areas. The areas measured inside the faces of the surfaces of boundaries of spaces. Net square footage, net usable square footage. This includes assignable square footage and non-assignable square footage. Structural square footage, the floor area of the building that cannot be occupied but put to the use because of the structural building features such as interior, exterior, unusable areas in its attics. The area determined in the calculation difference between the measured gross square footage and measured net square footage. Gross square footage, GSF, the sum of all floor areas of the floors of the building include outside faces and the exterior wall. The areas measured outside the face of the exterior walls disregarding the cornices, pilasters, buttresses, or other architect features that extend beyond all the wall faces. The gross square footage includes the assignable square footage as a ASF, not assignable square footage as structural square footage. In other words, total net square footage of a structural square footage. The ASF is an assignable square footage. If you didn't get that. Student capacity, the planning purpose of the estimated number of students in full-time equivalency that can be satisfactorily housed in facility at any given time based on a percentage of the total number of satisfactory students and stations. Student stations, for planning purposes, net square footage requirements per student in full-time equivalence based on the instructional program to be housed usually primarily determine the student capacity of school. Toilet rooms, group toilet rooms. These rooms contain two or more than one fixtures that are designed to be used more occupants simultaneously. The term gang toilet is synonymous with the group toilet. Public toilet rooms. These rooms are served primarily public and convenient, located accessible public use of facilities. Public toilet rooms may be used student during the school hours. Individual toilet rooms. These rooms contain one of the water closest to the most contain one individual toilet rooms. These rooms contain one water closet, may contain one of the laboratory. Individual toilet room may also contain a urinal that is not separated from a water closet by a partition. Uniform building code. A uniform building code of a public educational facility construction authorized in Chapter 1013 Florida State Law, actually found in the state requirement educational facility, the Florida Building Code of the Florida Fire Prevention Code. Walls and partitions. A wall normally extends from the floor through the ceiling above. A partition normally extends the floor to the bottom below the ceiling above. Demountable partition, a portion system made of the units designed to disassemble, move, reassemble the minimum waste. Operable partition, a partition so be contracted that it can be easily obtained and closed to the occupants of the building. Pertinent partition, any fixed partition, the system portable partition, any partition screened of either for visual barrier or artistically barrier that can be physically picked up and relocated. And that is Chapter 1. Section 2. We'll move on to Section 1.3. Expectations of standards, innovating plan, and construction techniques. Boards may use new material system applications in design and construction educational facilities following the requirements outlined in Section 104.11 Florida Building Code. Building as outlined, and an authorized exemption shall apply only to specifically named project shall be approved the board's buildings official. Request for the approval. Request for the exception initiated planning construction techniques shall be written in building official prior to the submission of plan specifications. Additional requirements such as Section 104.11 Florida Building Code. Building is requested shall contain all the following scope. The statement of the proposed project initiative planning construction technique to be used. The justification reason for the request for the exemption. Process to be used in conducting the project. D, the results of expedite the results and benefits. E, the particular statement of how reliable results will be produced. Remediation. The proposed corrective measures and expected but the results that are not required. Required reports. Documentation of approved projects shall be submitted by the office to the office and retained at the district building official. The documentation should include the following: submittal specification plan showing the work of the initiative plan and the construction techniques. The report interim status of the reports during the construction for the work included the initiative planning and the construction technique used. Inspection. Required building code inspection during the construction process of the work, including the initiative plan and construction technique used. For the conclusion. Project project completion report, conclusion, evaluation, initiative planning for the construction technique used. A follow-up. A minimum of one annual follow-up report, inspection of the qualified individuals. Additional inspection may be required. F. Remediation method of date of the implementation of corrective measures if required. Unacceptable results. Will the result is project authorized section determined by the test by test or other required documentation to be unacceptable to the board, as its own expense shall make corrections to previously agreed. For acceptance as a standard, projects proven to be satisfactory may be approved for the general use when adopted by the Florida Building Code of these statute rules. See Rule 6A20010, Florida Administrative Code, Section 120.542, 1001, 42, 11, 1013, 02, 1013, 37, 1013, 371, 1013, 45 Florida State statutes. Section 4, acquisition, disposal of real property. Authority, boards, including university, authorized purchase, own, convey, seal, sell, lease, trade, encumber the real property. A board planning to acquire the site's existing facilities, new facility through the purchase, gift, lease, or purchase of others shall comply with the laws, procedures, and requirements pertaining to the operation of the use of capital outlay funds, including the appraisal and the accommodation procedures. Florida inventory, schoolhouses, fish, real property owned by the acquired and long-term use of the agreement 40 or more years. The school board shall include the inventory updated as reported to the department. All satisfactory locatable owned leases, lease, purchase, rented, regardless of other terms, lengthful of rental agreement, other through the school board shall be included in the inventory. Location. The location of educational facilities shall consist of a comprehensive plan with the appropriate local governing body and consistent with the plans implementing the land development regulations. Disposal of real property. A board disposed of any of the land of the real property. The resolution school board recommended educational plan survey determined unnecessary for the educational initial area. Upon disposal of any land of the real property, funds received shall be deposited in depository account pursuant to the state requirements of educational facilities, section 2.1 and 4 and age, credited with the fund sources of the original acquisition. The original acquisition was the private grant donation from the proceeds of the shall be deposited to a depository account for the two state requirements of the educational facility. Section 2.148 shall be expanded to the capital outlay projects unless otherwise prescribed by the grant donor. The written arrangement of the board and an original fund source cannot be determined preceding that the sale shall be credited pursuant to state requirement. Educational facility. Section 2.148 shall be extended only to the capital outlay projects. This section does not apply to the grant, easements, right of ways, the lease of the board property for consideration. See these rules 6A2010, Florida Administrative Code, Section 163.371, 267, 562.45, 2A, 1001, 42, 11, 1001, 64, 37, 1010, 01, 1010, 02, 1011, 01, 3, 1011, 06, 1011, 09, 1011, 61, and 4 and 5, 1013 02, 1013 14, 1013 24, 1013 28 1, 1013 31, 1033 1033 6, 1013 33, 1013 36, 1013 37, 1013 40 Florida State statutes. Section 1.5, Historical Resources. When new construction, remodeling, renovation projects involve historical resources defined in Section 2671027, 267021 of the Florida State Statute pursuant to the Section 2670161 to the Florida State Statute, the Board shall notify the Division of Historical Resources of the Department of State to afford reasonable opportunity to commit the regard to the project prior to the approval expenditure of any state funds. See 6820010 Florida Administrative Code, Section 2670611, 101302, 101312, 101337, 101340, 101345, 101364 1G Florida State statutes. Chapter 2, State Requirements and Educational Requirements.